I'd like to review our Aloha etiquette guidelines. One person speaking at a time with no side conversations. Please mute your device unless speaking to improve everyone else's audio. Raise your hand and wait for recognition by the chair before speaking. Prior to speaking, please state your name. Speak slowly and clearly and as close to your microphone as you're comfortable. Limit your distractions, turn off your mobile phones, other devices, and put your children into childcare. Try to take a break each hour, if required. I'd like to begin by introducing the members of the Board of Appeals. Stacy Aguiar.
Audio check.
Good
Good
time for
morning.
audio check, Stacy. Hi. Springer Tay. Hi, good morning, Springer. Justin Lee.
Morning.
Audio
Morning.
check, Justin. Morning. Okay. Neil Thomas.
Morning.
I dropped the Daniel. From now on, you're just Neil Thomas.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm
Council
hearing
today.
echo.
You're
I
getting
hear
echo?
echo.
Okay. We're good with you. Council to the board, Diana Mellon Lacey to my immediate left.
Good morning.
To my right, Bethany Morrison is staff to the board from the planning department. We have Keiko Mercado. She's also on staff and our WebEx host. Rob Leisure is our staff in Kona. And Melissa Diacon Salvador is our secretary to the board here. Okay, we have some agenda items that we're going to go through that have all been continued or withdrawn. Gregor, BOA 19-000228, it's continued until January 8th, 2021. Wood Valley Capital, BOA 19-000233, continued to March 12th, that is. Robert Silber, BOA 20-000241, continued to January 8th, 2021. Edward and Rondell Raposa, BOA 20-000264, continued to March 12th, 2021. Roger and Elizabeth Jensen, BOA 000267, continued to February 12th, 2021. Danny Pryor, but the actual appellant is Jeff Sorensen, BOA 20-000272, continued to March 12th, 2021. Holiday Geiger, BOA 20-000276, continued to February 12th, 2021. Kenneth Moore, BOA 20-000277, continued to January 8th, 2021, as is Mr. Moore's second, BOA 20-000278. Let's see, those are all the matters being withdrawn or continued. Do we have any statements from the public on any items on the agenda? Bethany, we're all good? And then, have we received any testimonies?
No.
Good. Okay, let's get started. Old business, Lorraine Walsh, BOA 20-000245. This is an adoption of findings of fact, conclusions of law, decision, and order for appeal of decision by the planning director dated December 20th, 2019, regarding approval issued for short-term vacation rental registration, STVR 19-368486, and the non-conforming use certificate, NUC 191982. The location is 77-6479 Walua Road, Kailua Kona, Hawaii 96740, TMK 3, 7-7-011-023. So if we have the parties here, do the parties have any comments or concerns regarding the proposed findings of fact, conclusions of law, decision and order for appeal as drafted by Mr. Matsukawa? Matsukawa for the appellate. How's your audio, Mike? We do sign language.
Yeah.
Okay.
We submit on the record and no further comment.
No further comment.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Braswell for the landowner?
We don't have any objections. Order.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mukai for the planning department?
No further comment.
So the proposed findings of fact, decision order shall be served on each party to the proceeding, and each party shall have 15 days from the date of service thereof to submit written comments or objections to the board. Have we received anything? Okay. And what was our date of service?
Should be November 6th.
Yeah, November 6th. All right. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for the adoption of the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the decision in order. May I have a motion from a member of the board?
Neil Thomas, so moved.
Thank you, Neil. I just noticed something. Did I introduce Steve Hirakami?
No, I don't think he was there when we started.
Steve Hirakami, did I skip you?
What was the question?
Are you here?
Yes, I am on the screen.
Did I notice you earlier? Did I introduce you as a member of the board?
No, he
So
wasn't there.
I'm running
All right.
completely late.
All right, you're a little warbly. Can I have a second to our motion?
I'm second.
Thanks, Steve. I brought you in for a reason. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the motion. Is there discussion from any members of the board?
May I ask a question,
Yes.
Neil Thomas?
Sure, Neil.
On the conclusions of law, number 2 and 3, it is stated that the ordinance says that you can't live on the site or reside on the site. But it isn't clear to me what the window of time is in which you can't be living on the property. Can someone help clarify or help me understand how this works?
I think that was addressed earlier when they went into the peculiar meanings, did it not, John?
Yeah, that's my understanding. I think that's written, it's correct.
Mr. Matsukala, Mike, do you have any clarification for our board member?
I can only refer back to the record.
Yes.
But this is my understanding of what the board had discussed.
Chair,
Do we know where
Yes,
this
Stacy.
is?
Hi, Stacy.
you have feedback going on, and I think it's coming from your room. So nobody can really understand on this receiving end.
Same for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna mute us until we're speaking, I guess, 'cause that's the only.
If you guys mute while they're speaking, then it won't.
I know, it's a little tough, and the wireless mouse is not working. So I'll just stand here. Okay, we're unmuted.
Okay, so getting back to the question from Neil regarding the specifics of what constitutes the time period for residing. I think, Neil, if you read through 4, 5, 6, 7, Mr. Matsukala tries to elucidate that matter, but the fact is we lack a specific standard in statute. Is that correct, John?
That's my understanding. And I think this was discussed during the hearing.
Yeah, I mean, this is a reflection of the hearing, we're not relitigating.
Yeah.
We cannot relitigate this issue.
Yeah, but I appreciate your concern for clarification, Neil.
Unless Mr. Matsukawa has anything further to add.
I have nothing further.
Neil, do you have any specific question for someone?
Not that would be coherent, I'm afraid.
Coherence an audio visual problem? Or is it logic?
No. It's my understanding of the vacation rental ordinance. I'm getting all this echoing. I can't understand even what I'm saying.
Okay. Does everybody feel comfortable continuing this matter, this discussion, and finally this vote? Do you feel like you can vote based on having a full understanding of the issues being discussed?
I do.
So please, each one of you sequentially advise us whether you feel comfortable voting on this matter.
I'm ready to vote. Neil.
I'm ready.
This is Springer. Just to clarify, I did review both the minutes and the findings of fact as I was not present at the hearing.
Steve, are you good to vote?
Yes, I am.
Thanks.
I'm hearing conversation. There's a lot of feedback on my end, but I've read it and I'm ready to vote.
Thank you. Justin, are you ready?
I'm also ready to vote.
Thank you. Hearing that, we're going to have a roll call vote. So if we can begin. This is a motion to approve the findings of fact as submitted.
Neil Thomas,
Neil votes yes.
Steve Hirakami,
Aye.
Tracy Aguiar,
Aye.
Springer K,
Aye.
Justin Lee,
Aye.
and Chair McCulby.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much. The parties, thank you. You're excused at this time. And you'll be sent the minutes of this meeting or the notice. Okay? And the order. Let's see, moving on. We need to approve the November 13th minutes. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve.
This is Springer. So moved.
And a second.
Neil seconds.
Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, I will call for the question. A roll call, please.
Springer K,
Aye.
Neil Thomas,
Yes.
Tracy Aguiar,
Aye.
Steve Hirakami,
Aye.
Justin Lee,
Aye.
and Chair McCully.
Aye.
Okay. That's approved.
So the minutes are approved. Let's move on to administrative matters. I'd like to ask Mr. McKay for a status update on any appeals filed.
I think I'm the one that you.
I think
Oh,
there's another late.
I usually give that.
right back.
There's no new appeals. The old ones, there has been no action on. A couple of them are in the status of arbitration, but there's been no update on them. So I have no new news.
Okay, thank you, Diana. let's see, Bethany, is there any update on the status of petitions?
Not other than what you guys are familiar with as far as continuances. And we're still waiting for the decision from the LUC to deal with those pending cases that still have not come in yet.
Okay, so you, as a board, you noticed the large number, in fact, every matter was continued. Some of that had to do with the transition of the, between the two planning directors, Mr. Yee and now Mr. Kern proposed or nominated to be. So that was a reason for some of the petitioners to request, and others had other reasons, but we have a lot of matters down the road. January, February, March promise to be busy dockets. So at this time, the board needs to deal with the issue of elections for 2021. So at this time, we have an election, chair. Do we elect the vice chair, or is that not?
Vice Chair.
Chair and vice chair. So at this time, mentioned to the group earlier that I'm completing my first year as the chair. I'd like to continue. I'd like to hear who would be a vice chair, or anybody else would like to be nominated to be the chair. So at this time, any board member can contribute.
Chair, I just want to inform you that as vice chair, this is my last meeting formally. I've agreed to hold over until they find a replacement for me, but December 31st ends my term on the Board of Appeals. So somebody else would have to step up to the vice chair position.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Are nominations in order at this point?
Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Chair to continue as chair for another year. These are one-year terms, right?
Are there any other nominations for the chair? So is that a move?
You should make a motion.
Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion if someone would please begin the process.
I motion to vote.
Motion to confirm that that I am nominated to be the chair, and then we'll go through a motion to nominate for a vice chair.
So I think Neil actually nominated you.
So Neil nominated me, so I'm asking for a second.
I second. Stacy Aguiar seconds.
Seconded, is there any discussion? Hearing none, is this a roll call vote, Bethany?
Yes.
All right, let's begin.
Okay. Neil Thomas,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Stacy Aguiar,
Aye.
Steve Hirakami,
Firm.
is that a yes?
He's affirming.
Okay. Springer K,
Aye.
Justin Lee,
Aye.
and Chair McCauley.
Say Kaniloa. Hi, I'd like, I accept the chair. Thank you for your confidence, and I hope that we have a productive year coming up. I'll need some help, so I'd like a vice chair nomination at this time.
Before we do that, do we offer condolences?
I take Harry and David gift packs. Kind of me through. Yeah.
With regard to vice chair, I wonder if Steve could bring me and perhaps the others up to speed on what the vice chair does.
The vice chair takes over in case the chair is not available for meetings. So in that case, they would hold hearings during. So Jim, right before this COVID started, was planning a trip to the Far East, and I was kind of preparing myself to take over as chair. And then his travel plans changed. So, and he's been very well attended. And so I've never served as chair one time, but the position of vice chair is to be ready and willing and able to take over to chair the meeting. So I've got a big book to turn over with all the rules and, priorities on how to run a meeting, and the whole book of the Planning Board of Appeals. So I can turn that over, as well as get rid of stacks and stacks and stacks of paper that's taking up room in my house. So yeah, that's basically the duties of the vice chair.
And if you are holding over for a couple months, Steve, does that mean you can and are allowed and are willing to continue as vice chair until your replacement is found?
Yeah, but this is election time, so they want to make sure that they have a vice chair for next year that takes over. So if necessary, I could stand in if Jim is absent. But you guys really need to elect a vice chair at this time.
This is Springer Kay. Stacy, if you'd be willing to serve, I'd like to nominate you as vice chair.
Can I have one question for Jim? On average, are you meeting with the appellants at least once prior to the hearing, or more than once? What's the time you're putting in there?
So Stacey, our pre-hearing conferences are usually a single schedule. If we had a very significant matter, if you recall Mauna Kea, that took more, but we rarely get matters that are as intense as that was, and hopefully never again. So I would like to say this, to add to what Steve said. I was the former vice chair when our chair resigned. And prior to his resignation, I had one opportunity to serve as the chair. So the role of the vice chair is to provide that support. And believe me, when the vaccinations are available, I will be traveling again. So you should be prepared, and you will have service. I can accurately predict that.
So Springer, I appreciate it, but I am still traveling actually. So I haven't stopped traveling since probably June, and I don't know that I can commit to doing the pre-hearing meetings. Because that, if I understand correctly, that schedule is ongoing. There's no set day and time. It's as you guys can convene and meet with the appellants. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. But there is significant latitude, and most of them have proven to be audio conferences at this time. And that will continue. So there's that as a factor for you to consider.
And it's to discuss the procedural matter, not the subject.
Right. Again, this is not, we never discuss the substance of the matter. This is just process, primarily setting schedules, which are, especially if they're not pro se, if they have representation, they're very formalized and formulaic.
Okay, I mean, if the video conferencing is still, would still be an option, I am up for the challenge.
Do we have a second?
I shall second that.
Thanks, Steve. Any discussion on Stacy Aguiar as nominated for vice chair for 2021 Board of Appeals? Discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. Roll call. Oh, good point. Diana, we know that Stacy is a nominee. Do we have any other nominations? I thought I was covering that on discussion, but it would be particular to her. Any other nominees? Hearing none, I call for the question. Roll call.
Okay. Springer K,
Aye.
Steve Hirakami,
Aye.
Stacy Aguiar,
Aye.
Justin Lee,
Aye.
Neil Thomas,
Aye. And with the
And
echo,
Chairman
I guess
Paul.
everybody, I guess with the echo, everybody gets to vote twice.
Chairman Foley,
Aye.
Okay.
all affirmed.
All right. Board, I have one announcement, which is simply our next meeting date, January 8th, 2021. We'll entertain at this time to adjourn.
This is Springer K. So moved.
Thank you, Springer. A second?
Neil Thomas, second.
Thanks, Neil. Discussion? Anybody want to hang on to this meeting? It's almost record time. 28 minutes. Yes. All right, well, before we adjourn, I'd like to thank you for serving on the board this year. The county appreciates your service. I, as the chair, appreciate your service. This board can be very challenging at times, and it requires effort to be prepared. And I think that this is one of our more serious boards that has meaning and effect. So the questions brought up, for instance, this issue of this law and the preciseness of the language, and what do we refer back to, as was addressed in this today's motion for Mr. Matsukawa, or submission by Mr. Matsukawa, is kind of the meaning of this board. We're challenging things, so I appreciate your service. And I hope you have a great holiday season, and I look forward to working with you next year. At which point, let's have a vote to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. Do we need a roll call, Bethany?
No, I don't think so.
Raise your hand if you're ready to say goodbye. Goodbye. Done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.